All right, we are live. So today I wanted to share one of my stories. One of my stories of a really big dream and how I accomplished it. And hopefully it helps you accomplish yours. The reason I'm sharing one of my stories, I'm actually going to be tagging my inner circle in this because they're going to be sharing their story. Now, they don't have to go as public as I'm going because I'm going on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. But they're more than willing to because our stories are the things that not only move us forward, but they help move others forward along the journey. So if my story inspires you or influences you in any way, let me know because I want to do that for people. I want people to be dream chasers, dream catchers, because once you catch your first dream, each dream gets easier from there. And so my story of getting into the UFC. It was quite a funny story, actually. And I was training at Arizona Combat, a place called Arizona Combat Sports. And I told my coach that I wanted to be in the UFC in less than a year. Now, for anyone who doesn't know what the UFC is, it's the equivalence of if a football player is playing football, the UFC is the equivalence to the NFL in fighting. Like it's the highest level of fighting that you can get to. And when I told him this, bless his heart and his soul, he's a very, you can read what he's thinking and he's very blunt with what he says. So when I told him this, he had this look of judgment all over his face, like this kid has lost his mind. And he actually sat me down and he told me, Cliff, no one gets in the UFC in less than a year. You're going to be fighting with the best of the best in the world. And good luck, but it just doesn't happen. And I listened to him, respectfully. But I said to him, I go, all right, I get it, but I got to try. I just got to try. Because if just let me know you're willing to try with me. That's all I need. And he said he would. He's like, all right, let's see what we can do. And so that's what we did. We worked our asses off together. He helped me a lot along the way, and in more than just fighting. He's helped me in a lot of areas of life, and I think most coaches do. But I will say I put so much effort into getting as good as I could, and I was getting really, really good, really, really fast. I mean, I didn't know how to stand up and throw a punch and throw a kick properly. I didn't know how to do all of those things. And a lot of people looking at me would think, well, yeah, you've always been able to do that, or you're a natural talent. And that's the furthest from the truth. Um, I practiced on Saturdays and Sundays. I put in the effort to get as good as I got. And I would wake up early, early morning. I would go jogging at 4 in the morning just to keep my cardio up. I practiced in my jujitsu in the mornings. I practiced my boxing and my Muay Thai during the day. And in the evening times, I would try and shore up on my grappling. I didn't work on my wrestling as much because I had the background in wrestling. And that was actually a mistake on my part. I ended up learning that later on. But you should always practice everything, especially your bread and butter. Like the things that you are good in, practice those more than the things that you're not. But that's hindsight 2020. But in the thick of it, I was practicing in everything that I could do and doing the best that I could. And with that exponential improvement that I was seeing, it made me hungrier and hungrier to practice more and more. And when I talk about practicing, there's practice day and there's test day, and uh, I knew to get into the UFC, I was going to have to win fights and I was going to have to win a lot of them. So I would get in fights as consistently as I could. And one barrier to entry of all things is when you're fighting and you're winning consistently, fewer and fewer people want to fight you. And so not only was I battling with the fact that I was getting better can almost work against your advantage in some ways because some people just start avoiding you in the fight game. And we would call people out, we would do whatever we could. and keep working and putting it together. And there were a couple major injuries that I got on my way to this goal that I was pursuing. I ended up fracturing my rib, which was not fun. I could not laugh or use the bathroom properly for a couple weeks. It absolutely sucked. But I will say this, just like my shirt says, be the best version of yourself. Being the best you is about showing up and giving your absolute best. That's it. That's all you need to do. And so I have an attitude of, okay, what can I do? Because during that journey, you're going to hit roadblocks. It's just part of the game. And so when I had my rib injury, what I focused on was using my lower body. I would do a lot of squats. I would ride the Aerodyne without using the pedals, of course, because that would hurt like a son of a. And I did what I could. I controlled the things that I could control. And I stayed par the course. I kept looking at that North Star of wanting to get in there in less than a year. And it was looking like it was going to happen. There was one fight, such a scary fight too, because I didn't pick my song for the fight, but they picked the song All I Do Is Win, Win, Win. And I'm walking out saying, like, of all the songs they could have picked, like that one could throw a wrench into everything, because when you're so sure of yourself, that's when things can get really difficult. And so this song, All I Do Is Win, 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 is going off. It's blaring. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to just go out there, be the best version of myself, and let the chips fall where they may. And it was a tough fight, very, very hard fight. And he was a better technical fighter than I was. I just wanted it more than he did. I sat in the corner in the second round, and I didn't know how I was going to beat this guy because he was so much more technically proficient than me. And me and Trevor says, just throw with reckless abandon and see what happens. And that's what I did. And I ended up winning the fight. When we try in life, we surprise ourselves. I've always said, worst case scenario, you might not be exactly ready for the moment, but there's something called just-in-time learning. And that's, you're in the right spot, in the right time, and you just have to take the action and see what happens. And sometimes it happens for you, sometimes it doesn't. And luckily in that time, it happened for me. And so as I continued to fight and as I continued to move up, I made it. I made it in the UFC in well less than a year. In fact, I thought it was 10 months and I recalculated it. It was actually in a 9-month period. So I got there in a 9-month period. And I remember when we were going to fight for our first UFC fight, Trevor was like, I don't know how we got here. And I bring this story up to remind people that whatever story you tell yourself, it's going to play dividends. It's going to show up fully. And you can choose to listen to your own story or listen to other people's story. And sometimes our own story beats us up. And sometimes other people's story beats us up. But why not use everybody's story to give you energy instead of bring you down? So when I talk about being the best version of yourself, showing up fully, it's showing up fully for your lovers and for your doubters too. For your fans and fanatics. Huh? I will in a second, bud. And for those who are not there for you, you get to use the story in the way that you want to use the story. And that's the beauty of the journey. Even right now, my son just popped in. I personally recorded this as early as possible so that they would all be asleep, but it doesn't happen that way sometimes. And you just have to roll with the punches. And that's what I look to do in life and continually do in life, is roll with the punches. And what I didn't know was my journey as a fighter has paid dividends in my journey as an entrepreneur, because the same principles apply, the same lessons apply, the same tenacity applies, and the same ambition applies. When you show fully, when you show all out on the game that you're playing, you'd be surprised what you can do. And I always say the first dream is the hardest dream. Once you get the first one, the next one becomes easier because you know the process. You know the solutions that are needed to make it a reality. And it doesn't always fall into place in this pretty little wrapped up bow, but you get there. And you get there because you've already done it once. And so now on my entrepreneurial journey, I look to help other entrepreneurs get to their dreams, get to their goals, take the actions that they need to take. I say it's important to step inside of your cage or your arena. You know, one day you're going to have to step in there if you want to get what you want on your journey. If you're looking to get a big dream, you have to go out. You have to go out to the edge and see what happens. And just as you go out to the edge, you do have to come back too. So when you do step into your arena or your cage, it's not only who you are when you step into it, it's who you are when you step out of it. And so I've taken the lessons that I've learned along the way inside the arena, inside the cage, and I apply them outside of the arena and the cage as well. So I can keep shining bright and having a lot of fun on the journey. And I've had the opportunity to meet so many amazing people along the way. It's been a lot of fun and it's been an absolute joy. So yeah, let's keep moving forward. And my question to you, do you have a dream that you're looking to fulfill on, and what barriers may be in your way? I'd love to know the answer. And so I'm going to give a shout out to Gemma. Gemma, thank you for showing up. Appreciate you. And goal setting, being positive, amen. And being accountable, yes. And doing all of that with complete and utter intentionality. I was intentional with what I wanted to become. I was intentional with what I wanted to do. And so go be intentional on your journey because it's your journey. You have to wake up next to you and you have to sleep next to you every single day. So make that count for you. Be the best you that you can be. And I hope you all have an amazing day. And I can't wait to hear everybody else's story. All right, you guys take care and I'll talk with you later. Have a good one.